Good morning or good afternoon, whichever it is where you are. Welcome to Kids Meet the Ocean, a live national student webcast. My name is Kathy Beach, and I am the national coordinator for the Kids Guide to Canada project. And the other host we have this morning is Marge Kabuka, and she is in Edmonton. I am in Ontario, somewhat close to Algonquin Park, if you know where that is. And we also have a class of students in Nanaimo BC. So kids, just want to give us a wave just for a second, because we're gonna come back to you. So this is our presenting class, but before we do that, we want to just introduce a little bit of other information that we have. The Kids Guide to Canada presents a webcast series called Kids Meet Canada, and this is the Kids Meet the Ocean webcast from the series. And we normally do this just for kids in classes across Canada. But because it's the World Oceans Day today and we're celebrating World Oceans, we are actually presenting this to an international audience with people from around the world. So that's pretty exciting for us. And we are trying new things. So every time we do a webcast, we do something new, and today we're doing a couple of new things. So we just want you to know that when you learn new things, sometimes glitches happen, and we're really experienced in glitches. And if a few happen, you'll have to bear with us while we try to do a bit of shifting here or there, but we have fun with it, so I hope that you have fun with it too. Canada has 3 coastlines along world oceans, and so oceans are very important to Canada, and it's important to Canadians because Canadians, generally speaking, do have a lot of concern about the environment. And we would like to take you to one of our coastlines. And because the class that's sitting in front of you right now lives really close to an ocean, they did something really special for us. And I'm going to just start sharing my screen and show you what they've done for us. And then we're going to come back to see them in a few minutes. So this is the location where the grade 3, 4, and the grade 1 students from Departure Bay Eco School in Nanaimo, BC are located. They're on the west coast of Canada, right on the Pacific Ocean. If we zoom in a little closer, the red dot is where Nanaimo is, and you can see that it's on Vancouver Island, just to the west of Vancouver, BC, but there's water in between the mainland and that island. And they are living on the Nanaimo people land, the unceded territory of the Nanaimo people. And when the English people arrived, they named that bay Departure Bay, because that is how they got back and forth between the mainland and that part of Vancouver Island. And if we go in even closer, those white lines are the lines that show where the modern ferries travel, either from, not Point Roberts, but south of Vancouver or north of Vancouver. There's 2 ferry lines that they can take to go back and forth between Nanaimo and the mainland. And if we go even closer, we'll see that the school that these kids are at is marked with that red dot. They are really, really close to the ocean and Departure Bay. And you can see the white line where the ferry comes in right close to where they live. Look how close they are to the ocean. All they have to do is go for a short walk down the neighborhood and they're right on the beach. And they actually did that for us. They went down to their beach and they've created a little video for us to watch. But before we watch the video and before we meet the kids and see what they found on the beach and see what they've got to teach us, I'm going to stop sharing and turn the computer back over to Mrs. Kabuka. So Marge, can you take it from here?
I sure can. So welcome, everybody. It's just great to have you here, and I'm happy to host this today. Now, we really want to have everyone participate, and the way to do that is for you to ask questions in the live chat that is available on your screen. So if you take a look at your screen today, you'll see there's an option for live chat, and I've already been welcoming people from Corner Brook all the way to Squamish, BC. So I know that there's a lot of classes here today. So be sure to put your questions, your comments, your ideas, share them with us. And at the end of our session, we'll have a question and answer period. And I will try to pull all those good questions so that we can ask those kids in Departure Bay. And if they know, they will help us. So I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you in the chat.
And good morning. We would like to acknowledge that we are standing on the traditional and unceded territories of the Nanaimo people. Welcome to Nanaimo BC and to our beautiful Departure Bay Beach. All right, here we are. We're at the Departure Bay Beach.
Okay,
Can you guys tell me how often you go to the beach with your school?
we probably go 10 times a week. Once a month.
Once a month?
10 times a week. We usually go once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah, once a week. Sometimes we go and like, you know how we go to the school? Sometimes we go to the beach. Yeah.
Okay, so you like going to the beach?
Yeah.
And you go a lot?
Yeah. I go a lot in the summertime and I go swimming. Yeah, I used to every summertime we used to go to different beaches.
Yeah. And do you just come down to play, or do you normally have to do some learning and some activities down here?
Normally do learn and we get some free time out. And we do some cleanup.
Cleanup, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you find lots of stuff on the beach?
Yeah. Like cigarettes. Cigarettes are the most. Yeah. Needles, not that much. No.
What about like beer cans and...
Yeah. A little bit. We find a lot of styrofoam.
Yeah?
We found cups.
Cups? Yeah, so a fair amount of plastic then?
Dead animals? No, not usually. Sorta. When the salmon went over there.
This stream here that's next to us,
Yeah. Technically that would be in the park, which goes attached to the ocean.
so if we were to follow this stream up, what would we find?
We'd end up in Wood Stream Park.
So in the forest?
Yeah. We'd be in the water, but in the around the forest.
Right. Do you guys get to visit the forest too?
Yeah, we go every Wednesday.
Whoa! And when you're in the forest, can you see the stream there?
Yeah. It's amazing. But you just can't see that. Today we found crayfish.
Crayfish.
And some
Whoa.
fish. So it was very cool.
Very cool. Do you ever see salmon up there?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. We saw salmon. Yeah. Like we little ones. Fry.
Little ones? Have you
Yeah.
ever seen a big one?
No. Yeah.
Yeah?
Here we have. Yeah, but not up there. Not back there. No, yeah, I did see them when I was walking up in school. I saw like a bunch of them.
Cool.
That was probably the migration.
It might have been.
And what did you find on the beach today?
This crab shell, or it might be an exoskeleton. I think the crab sheds it.
That's right. So crabs, when they grow, because they don't have bones on the inside, they have to shed or come out of their exoskeleton in order to get bigger. And so a lot of the times we'll find these on the beach. Do you know what kind of crab it is?
Is it red rock?
It is a red rock crab, that's right. Oh my goodness, what did you find?
Barnacles.
Wow, and what are barnacles?
They're little like creatures that go into rocks and the little creatures live inside.
So those aren't just rocks, right? They're a living animal?
Yes.
And where do they live inside of those barnacles?
Like in the very middle.
Okay, so right in the center there. Mm-hmm. And why are they closed up right now? Are they in the ocean right now?
No.
No, so the tide has gone out, so they close up. and then that way they don't dry out. So if you look, they're closed up, and then once the tide comes back in, they'll open up, and then the little creature will come out, and it'll look like feathers coming out to get their food. And what did you find?
I found a plastic straw.
Oh my goodness. Where did you find it?
Just over there.
Oh my goodness.
Under the rock.
Well, I'm glad you found it, right? Because we don't want to leave it for animals.
Yeah.
So girls, what did you find on the beach today?
Styrofoam.
Excellent. And if you were a very hungry animal in the ocean and you were looking for a juicy meal, what would you think that was?
Salmon eggs.
Exactly. And if the animals in the ocean eat that kind of thing, what would happen to them?
Probably die.
What's this one?
Garbage and pieces
What did you find?
of glass.
But where did we find all this?
And some more stuff with
Unreal.
Where did you guys find all this stuff?
under the wood.
Under the wood on our beach.
So does it make us happy when we find this kind of thing?
No.
What should we do?
Stop.
Can you say it in a big voice?
Stop using plastic.
Do you have any other advice that we can do to help our beaches?
Take beer cans to recycling.
Okay, that's a good idea. What else could we do?
Put the plastic in the garbage.
And what do you do? Do you always clean up when you go to the beach?
Yes.
Do you? Yeah.
So we come down here all the time. There's classes down here several times a week, and we clean up.
We're always cleaning up every time we come. We always pick up whatever we see.
And it doesn't matter how often we clean, there's always more to be picked up.
Yes. Construction, bags, microplastics.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Unreal.
And it's to protect our seabirds and life.
And as you can see, we have left the kids on the beach, and as you discovered, it's really windy on the beach, and they had trouble hearing, so they had to re-record a few of their clips. But what they're going to do right now is present in person in their classroom. So here we have, in the front, we have the grade ones. Grade ones, can you give us a wave? Nice to meet you. And the grade 3s and 4s, where are you? Awesome. Okay, so we're going to hand the cameras and the microphone over to you, and you can go ahead and teach us what you've learned and what you've done. We're really excited to hear about it.
Miss Anderson's class started looking at polar bears and why there is no ice floe for them. They noticed the polar bears would starve and talked about what caused the ice to melt. Miss Cairns and Miss Anderson started talking and decided to have the classes come together and do an inquiry on ocean pollution.
Along with our student teacher, Miss Sliderson, we wanted to do something that could help create change. So we voted and decided to a 30-day Ghost Frolic Challenge. We made posters, talked to the whole school, and everyone signed the pledge. We have even contacted our local news media and plan to go to our city council and have our city ban plastic straws.
So this is our poster that we made, and it's got all this random stuff.
And what did you do with the posters?
We made little individual, drawings, and then we glued them onto the poster, and we just designed it.
Did you put the posters anywhere in particular?
I think we took it in a hallway.
In your school? So the other classes could see them. Great.
And we had an assembly all about it, and we presented it to the whole school.
So what did you do at the assembly?
We had partners for it, and then we showed them up the posters that we made.
And you talked to them about what you're doing?
I was there for 30 days. No stuff.
Okay, great. Thanks.
500 million straws are used every day. 500 million straws could fill 127 school buses. Plastic pollutes our beaches and collects in areas of our ocean called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Plastic harms our environment and kills fish and animals.
Okay, we see the poster. That's awesome. 30-day straw challenge. Thank you.
These are crabs here. So this one is a bony crab, and here on the right side for you, there's a little crab which has, that you can tell from the bigger stomachs by the pouch down there, and the bigger crab has a smaller one. And it's really hard to tell, but tiny crabs, you know they can't pinch, but bigger crabs like these ones can probably pinch, but just be careful around with these ones. They are really big.
So was it the head you said was bigger on the female?
No, the pouch down here. The pouch on this one, it has a really big head for it, so it does have like a very big pouch down there for tying them. So all it is about crabs.
And do you find live ones down on the beach? Big ones like that?
No, we find some tiny crabs floating. We find tiny ones, but it is rare to see some big crabs. So it is pretty rare.
Okay, great.
These are sandals. Black ones are the live ones, and white ones are the dead ones. And sandals, normally on sandy beaches that have wet sand.
And so do you find them on your rocky beach?
Not that much.
So for sand dollars, you have to have a sandy beach.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because they're called sand dollars. Awesome. We could hear you nice and clearly. Can you hold that up a little higher? What is that?
This is a sunstone. If one of the tentacles...
Could you hold it up a little higher? It's going down under... Yeah, that's better. And can you tell us what it is?
A sunstone. And if one of the tentacles is eaten or falls off, it will regrow.
So I got that part. Did you call it a sun something?
Sun star.
A sun star. Got it. Thank you. I've never heard of such a thing. Never seen that before, ever.
This is a sea urchin. This is a sea urchin. And they're really spiky.
And where do you find those?
Mostly on rocks.
And are they red like that?
Not all of them.
No, what other colors can they be?
They can be purple.
Wow, really? Wow. I think I want to come and visit your beach and see that. Thank you. Can you tell us what those are?
Seashells. Seashells.
And you find lots of those on the beach?
Yes.
That's awesome. Those are the things that I've seen people bring back when they go on a vacation.
This is an octopus. They're really hard to find, but they can live in tide pools and oceans.
So what is a tide pool?
Little circles that are filled with water, and it's like a hole with water in it.
So the animals, when the tide goes out, there's animals sometimes left in those little tide pools?
Yes.
Cool. And are they really red?
Some can be different colors, like some can be like sometimes they can be like camouflaged in like purple, white, orange.
Hey, I don't think of camouflage being purple and orange around here, but that I definitely need to come and visit your beach because I've never seen those kinds of things. And I'll bet a lot of kids across Canada have never seen those things in person. And have you actually ever seen one of those?
I've never. They're really hard to find
Ah,
because go down in the deep spots of the oceans.
right, right. That's awesome. Thanks.
Okay, kids, here is what you can do today to help us clean up the ocean and help save the sea animals. We challenge you to go 30 days with no straws. Together we can make a big difference. Our future depends on us. Thank you.
That's great. So, thank you to all of you. Is there anyone else left to present? Because I think you were going to end with your challenge. So, we've got a challenge to everybody on what you can do to save those animals. And I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Kabuka and find out if you've been posting any questions in the chat and see if they can answer your questions. So I'm going to switch over to Marge in Edmonton, and I'm going to leave it with you, Marge. Your microphone is muted. We always do that.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. And I'm just going to make sure that everyone can hear me. So in the chat window, which I'm watching, I do see that, unfortunately, boys and girls, it hasn't been as clear for everybody as we were hoping. And it wasn't just till near the end when someone said to me, you know, we're still having trouble hearing. So your pictures were awesome. I don't know if it was a problem with getting close enough to your mic. That's really important because I heard students try to speak clearly. But I still had lots of great comments and questions, and I'm going to ask you this one, and maybe you know it. Someone said, and so when you answer, can you make sure you're as close to your mic as you can be? And if you have a headset to use, that might even be better. What do sea urchins eat? And that's from Berkeley in Squamish, BC. So if you know what sea urchins eat or have an idea, could you help us out and take the mic? If you're not sure, let us know that you're not sure. So I'm going to ask the boys and girls there in Nanaimo if anyone can help us out.
I think that sea urchins, they eat algae off all the rocks.
All right, thank you. And that was from Berkeley. Berkeley, I hope that helps you with your answer. And so I'm just going to share with you some more questions. In John Keller's class, one of the students wanted to know if you ever find any fossils on the beach. So do you ever find any fossils?
Yes, we find mostly crab shells and leftover sand dollars that have died, and we find salmon skeletons and stuff, and that's really all we find.
Well, that's so interesting. I had no idea that you could find salmon skeletons. I'm hoping that John Keller's student heard that one, because that was a really nice, clear answer. Tanya Falconer's student said they're really impressed that you go down to the beach and clean up, and they want to say thank you. That's just awesome. And so Jennifer Barge, and she's in Bridlewood, Calgary. It's a grade 4 class, and they want to know, how often does the beach need cleaning?
Departure Bay Beach needs really every day to be cleaning, maybe even in between hours, because every day there's someone throwing out trash or throwing out a beer can, and they just throw it onto the beach and don't care, or they just throw like a cigarette on the beach and it's left there, and we come down and clean it up. But there's always more.
Wow, that's thank you again, I have to say, for doing that cleaning. And it's a little bit discouraging to see that there's always more. And so we also wanted to ask if you were doing, someone asked about the 30-day straw challenge, and they said, are you going to try to do it at home and at school? Both.
The whole school's doing it, so yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay, Jennifer Bargado's class in Bridlewood, Calgary, a grade 4 class, also wanted to know, do you ever find garbage from Japan, or do you ever find garbage from other parts of Canada or other parts of the world?
Yes, we do. We find garbage from everywhere because people may come in and empty their pockets onto the beach when they're taking a walk, or just maybe throwing garbage out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I know that you're on the inside and not on the Pacific Ocean side, so that makes a little bit of a difference. And also from Newfoundland, Teresa, and I'm not sure if this is the teacher's name or the school's name, but they also mentioned that they find sand dollars in Newfoundland as well. So it's pretty exciting that we have students from all across Canada here today. I'm just going to check once more. Oh, there's lots. Do you get big seashells? Okay. Oh, and then there's another question as well. Okay.
Yes, we do get big sand dollars. Yes, we do get big seashells.
Do you? Can you show how big they are with your hands? Like that? That's pretty awesome. That's really wonderful. Okay. Oh, there's so many good questions. Thank you for answering that one. And here's another good question. Somebody wanted to know this is Brandon Arsenault, and he's a student and wanted to know what do starfish eat?
I think crabs.
Okay. Nice. Okay. The other thing that someone wanted to know was, do some animals eat seaweed? And do you have seaweed in your water? And that's from Westport. Jasmine in Westport School wants to know, do some animals eat seaweed, and do you have seaweed in your water?
Yes, some animals eat seaweed, and we do have seaweed up in our beach.
I'm just going to ask you a couple of more questions before you go. Can you see it on the beach? And what color is it? Can you see it on the beach?
Yes, and it's green.
Okay. All right. Do you ever pick it up?
Yes.
How does it feel when you pick it up?
Still flying.
So do you like picking it up?
Not really.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, this is a question you might not know the answer, but it sure is a good question that maybe we could research. And so I'm just going to give you this question. How many fish, and I know you can't tell this, but you might have some information. How many fish are left in the Pacific Ocean? That's a huge question, right? I don't know if we can answer that one. It'd be a great math question, I'm thinking. So a teacher from Edmonton, actually my colleague from Edmonton, Susan Sundley, is asking, what is the most popular kind of garbage that you see on the beach? And did you choose straws for your project because that's what you see most often?
Mostly for me, I mostly see a lot of plastic bags.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that is interesting. That is very interesting. That tells us something too, right? And it kind of fits in with the straws. And so, let me see here. Oh, someone wants to know, are there any garbage and recycling bins on your beach? So are people like just being careless, or are there bins and garbage recycling bins?
We have some garbage bins there. It's just on top of the stairs that we have around our beach.
Okay, so we got to encourage people to use those, right? Another student from Squamish, BC, says that their students have convinced local businesses to stop using straws, and they are selling stainless steel straws. So, wow, that's a pretty exciting thing. Talia, a student wants to know if you have ever seen sharks in Departure Bay. So this is from John Keller, and the student's name is Talia, and she wants to know, have you ever seen sharks in Departure Bay?
We don't have big sharks here like great whites, but sometimes we have dogfish and dolphins, and sometimes we see orcas and humpback whales.
And you don't have sharks that bite?
Well, dogfish can bite, but it's not that bad. The same as a dog bite.
So is it safe to go swimming when you go down in the beach?
Yeah.
So it's safe, like you don't have something that's going to bite your toe off?
No.
That's good to know. When I come and visit, I'll feel safe to go swimming. Thanks.
All right, I'm just going to give you some feedback also from some other students. Someone said that in Newfoundland, they are saying, hey, we take the seaweed and put it in our garden because it's great fertilizer. And I think it's great that we have students on both coasts of Canada right now in our session. Adele would like to know, how do you think we can prevent people from trashing the beach? And Adele is in Edmonton. So he wants to know, what can we do to prevent people from trashing the beach?
We can prevent trash being scattered around our beaches by putting, we could put up something like
say there was a machine that took your bottle can and you got like 25 cents for it back, like, and then they reuse it and recycle it instead of people just throwing it on the beach and leaving it to lie there forever and turn into smaller pieces and kill many animals on the beach and in the water.
Okay, thank you. You know, there's a couple of questions, and we are already a little bit over time, so maybe let's stop with this question. Can you tell us anything if you notice a difference between trash or things that wash in on the tide versus anything that people just leave on the beach when they are on the beach? So things that people leave behind versus something that washes in on the tide.
Some yes, some no. My question is, if you cleaned the beach before the tide came in, and then you were standing there when the tide went out, would you find garbage that came in when the water came in? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, and a couple of people have asked that in the chat as well.
Looks like a couple people have some ideas on that. Almost out of time.
Okay, and if you're going to come to answer that, that's great. And I have one more question just to leave you with.
Can you tell us about the garbage in the tides?
Well, when we clean up the beach, we usually find maybe a couple hundred more pieces of trash when the tide comes in.
Wow. That's so disappointing to hear. But, you know, I remember, you know, I'm very, 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 very old. But I remember going on the Newfoundland side of the ocean, in the Atlantic Ocean, and I was near New York City. And there were huge barges, flat ships, that were covered in garbage. And I asked my friend, what are those? And he said, those are the garbage ships taking the garbage to dump it in the ocean. So I sure hope that's not happening anymore, where people are actually dumping garbage right into the ocean, because it's turning up on your beaches, isn't it? And all the animals in the ocean, like those girls that had I really found it interesting with the styrofoam that those girls found. I hadn't thought of that before. It actually could look like eggs to an animal. So they could eat the plastic and they could eat the styrofoam. And that's pretty distressing for me, because I care a lot about the environment. So before you go, Marge had another question for you.
You know, I'm having such a hard time picking questions because there's so many good ones. I see so much great curiosity, but this is one that really fits in with what we're talking about today. So have you ever found a dead fish or a dead animal, and have you ever been able to see if it died because it swallowed or ate plastic, or if there's plastic inside of the animal that you have found? Because that really fits in with our topic for today.
Look at all those kids with hands in the air. Wow.
I saw it on Miss Anderson's screen.
You saw a picture of one?
A dead bird with plastic inside.
Exactly. I've seen that. Has anyone in the class ever seen any animals on the beach with plastic? It looks like they have.
A long time ago, we didn't know whether they ate plastic or this guy would have the body skin that was left really close to the water.
Right. Yeah, and unless you cut it open to see the inside, you wouldn't know if it had eaten plastic bottle caps and all the plastic bags and things.
We did.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what people are finding now. And you might have heard the story of the whale over near the Philippines, that it had something like 80 plastic bags in its stomach that it had eaten when it took the water in. and birds that are trapped with plastic around them and they can't get their wings free. So we're having a huge problem. So you kids, I'm really glad that you're deciding to do something about it. And I wonder if the student who had that challenge, I wonder if we could ask them to come and read that challenge one last time, and we'll end on that.
Okay, kids, here's what you could do today to help us clean up the ocean and help save the sea animals. We challenge you to go 30 days with no straws. Together, we can make a big difference. Our future depends on us. Thank you.
So 30 days without straws. And if you don't want to do that, you can come up with your own idea of something that you and your school or your class, or even just you on your own, can do to try and make a difference. And you know what? Adults will listen to kids. If you kids go and talk to adults and tell them what you would like, adults listen to kids. You have a lot more power than you think you do. So it would be really good to go and tell some adults about what you think, what's happening, and what you'd like to see. So I am going to say thank you to the grade 1s and the 3s and the 4s in Nanaimo, BC. And I forgot to mention, there's Mrs. Anderson and Mrs. Cairns, but there's also a person sitting at the back you can see on the screen. This is Mrs. Liderson, and she is a student teacher that just so happens to have come to the school when they were doing this study. And she has a background, the most interesting background in science and fisheries and working with fish, and even going to really cool places like the Galapagos Islands. So these kids were really, really lucky to have you. So to all of you teachers who did this with the kids, and to all of you kids who have shared your knowledge today with kids across Canada and around the world, we thank you, and we hope that we'll see lots of you people in the audience in our other Kids Meet Canada webcasts. Next week, we are doing Kids Meet the Arctic. They're not going to be live because they have internet problems, but they are sending things to teach you about the Arctic. So thank you, Mrs. Kabuka, Marge, and all the Kids Guide to Canada people who have been volunteering to help put this on. And we're going to say goodbye, and thanks very much, and hope to see you again soon. Goodbye, everyone.